What's good, Liberators? Fingers here, and this is another installment of the Dx2 files. Today, we are diving deep into the enigma that is Eileen, Christian name, Ririn Ueda. So let's check her out. Member of the Liberators, high school student, likes late night anime, cosplay, and has a girl fetish. Yeah, welcome to the club. I think half the population of planet Earth shares in that particular fetish, but allow me to translate for you because I think this is Sega's kind of softball way of saying, yes, she's a lesbian, and also a little bit rapey. I mean, seriously, this bitch has sniffed more little girls than Joe Biden. Throughout the story, she is constantly running up on every girl, woman, and demon that she finds attractive and just taking a big old whiff. The gothic Lolita who inhabits the summoning portal, Orissa, is one of her primary targets, and that girl has got to be like 12 years old. So, just whatever you do, don't tell Twitter because Dx2 will be banned immediately if they find out about such aggressive behavior. Dreams of becoming filthy rich, popular amateur writer, not overly fond of fighting. Now, this is a very surface level description of her, but one of her principal character traits is that she cares deeply for her family, specifically her little brother and sister. So she works overtime in order to help support them because her family is dirt poor. So she's always hustling, she's working overtime, she's doing cosplay for money, she's taking every opportunity to make a little cash. So I would classify Eileen as a righteous hustler. I think that is the best definition for our girl here because, yeah, she's got some self interest in mind, but primarily she's looking out for her people, and I can respect that. Skill set increases Maka and item drop rates, maximizes random attack hit rates, and this is a fairly accurate description for our girl's skills. So let's check them out. Her assist skill, 100% chance to bind an enemy. Cool when it pops off, but largely useless because any battle where it's going to fire off, where it's allowed to fire off, is not a battle where you really need it to happen. For her stat boost, she gets HP plus 3, 10% max HP to all party members. Okay, not bad. And luck plus 3, 7 luck to all party members. Okay, it's something, though I don't see that being overly beneficial. And now here's where we get into her really good skills. Lucky Press 2, 10% chance to add a press turn icon when a random target attack hits the maximum number of times. So if you have an attack that hits 2 to 5 times and the attack hits 5 times, well, you may just get an extra press turn as a nice added bonus, which is huge. And one thing to remember with this skill, where if you are using a multi-hit attack that has a set number of attacks, like Yoshitsune's Hasutobi, 8 attacks guaranteed every time, that counts as hits max times. So Lucky Press may trigger when using Hasutobi or any other skill that has that set amount of attacks. So fantastic, great stuff. You can put this to great use, especially in the later levels of Brands of Sin, which is where our girl particularly shines. As illustrated by her next 2 skills, Rip Off 3, plus 15% to Maka obtained during battle, and Gift Thief 3, 30% chance to add 1 item drop. So what does this mean? This means that this is the only girl you should be running in Brands of Sin. and Aura Gate too. Anywhere where you're farming for drop items, get her in there because she will maximize your efficiency. She will maximize every drop of stamina, every step in Aura Gate, especially early on, where those resources, you need to start building up those resources. This is your girl. Put her in your second party in Aura Gate, and she will get you extra general drops, extra brands, but also, most importantly, extra Mitama extracts, which is huge and can really, really goose up those demons, especially if you're just starting out. So get her in there. Lucky Slip 2. 20% chance to avoid using a press turn icon when skipping a turn. So when you hit that pass button and it's supposed to use half a press turn, well, 20% chance it costs you nothing. And this is insanely useful. I ran Eileen early on in a lot of Kiwamis. When I didn't have a deep roster of demons, I really had to, it took me like a month to kind of build up what I needed for that month's specific Kiwami, which I actually enjoyed. You know, having that, like, okay, here's the Kiwami, I'm going to need this, this, and this, and then I'd spend the month putting that team together and executing it. And Eileen was really useful, specifically for this skill, allowing them, especially if you're running a team where you're relying on one demon to do most of the damage, where all the other demons kind of set you up, and then you got one demon hammering away at them. So you set everybody up, and then you're just passing their turns to get to that one demon who's hammering things home. So if you're running a strategy like that, and you know you're going to be passing a lot in your battle, well, you consider running Eileen with your team because it might make a world of difference. Fragrant Lily increases the minimum number of attacks for all random attacks by 1. Now, this is a very cool skill. So if you've got an attack that attacks 2 to 5 times, well, now it attacks 3 to 5 times. Guaranteed at least 3 attacks, which can really stabilize that random attack damage, which in my experience has always hit on the low side. As many of you can probably attest, when you're running Demopocalypse and you're using a random hit elemental skill, they seem to always just flub it and hit for only 2 times instead of the 5. It's just, I don't know, just a quirk of this game. You're going to be underwhelmed, so that skill might help just balance things out just a little bit, make things just a bit more stable, which, great. Inspiration. 10% chance to cast Rebellion on a single party member when using a random attack. And this I find extremely underwhelming. 10% chance to cast Rebellion. Now, you got 10% chance to cast Rebellion on a random party member. And if you're running an all-mage team or something to that effect, or, you've got one mage in the team and the Rebellion happens to pop up on that demon, you have a 10% chance to give one of your allies a useless buff. Now, that's just, what are you doing? I can't think of this ever being useful, ever triggering in a situation where it would be useful. The odds of it happening are so slim that it's practically pointless and non-existent. Now, some of these others are better, and I think they should buff this. And so instead of it being a single party member, give it the party-wide Rebellion. I mean, that would put this into play. That would make this viable and potentially turn the tide of a battle. As we can see with Happy Ending. 10% chance to cast Lydia on all party members when killing an enemy with a random attack. And that can be huge. Granted, you need to actually drop the enemy with a random attack, whereas Inspiration, you only needed to trigger a random attack. Happy Ending, you need to actually defeat an enemy for this to trigger. But if it triggers, I mean, a team-wide Lydia, that is huge, especially if you've got a protracted Kiwami battle going, protracted boss battle going. That's a game changer right there. So, fantastic. I could use a little bit more than 10% of it happening, especially since it requires you to defeat an enemy in order to get your 10% chance. But still, great stuff, great stuff. And finally, postscript. 10% chance to cast barrier on all party members when killing an enemy with a random attack. So the exact same as happy ending requires defeating an enemy and a 10% chance to cast barrier. I mean, come on, 10%, it's just barrier. Come on, now you can give us 50% proc rate. Come on, you can do a little better than 10%. But still, it's something that's there. And this doubles up with happy ending and inspiration, where you use a random attack, you defeat an enemy. There is the potential for all three of these to trigger at the same time, which, let's just be real, probably won't happen, but the potential is there. So hey, there you go. And that, my friends, is our girl, Eileen, the righteous hustler who knows this one thing above all, and that is, in all things, don't get captured.
ほら、ぼさっとしない。こんなん余裕っしょ。